everyone, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my January wrap-up. Sorry that it is so late. I have had a stressful couple of weeks, but I hope you are having a great February and that y'all are staying safe and that you're masking up, hand sanitizing. I'm stressed. Homeschooling, it's going okay, but then home life is like taking a backseat. And then the weather, it's been raining for days, and I know that in a couple videos ago I said the same thing. It just rains and rains and rains in winter where I live, and it's just, it's not good for my mental health. But anyways, let's talk about January, because February is just bad. Okay, so I read 12 books in January. I'm riding that high from December, where I read 13 books, and I read 12 in January. So yeah, let's just get into that. I read 2 graphic novels. I read 2 ebooks, and I listened to an audiobook. So, and the rest were physical reads. So there's my stats. And I read a lot, but I didn't really like most of what I was reading. Oh, I got a new cardigan. Ooh, squirrel. So, okay, let's just get into the books, because this is already a 2-minute clip. Sorry, my numbers are down at the bottom. So the first book that I read in January was Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angelis. I read this for the Buzzword Reading Challenge that was hosted by Kayla over at Books and Lala in the previous years, but now it's a year-long read-along or reading challenge. And the buzzword for the first week of January was dream. So, dreams. And I ended up giving this a 2. I wanted to like it. It's Phantom of the Opera meets Moulin Rouge, and I love Phantom of the Opera. The only Phantom of the Opera inspiration that I saw was Jack, or I think that's the master's name. He was the master of this dance house. And so it reminded me a lot of Caraval by Stephanie Garber. It's like circus. It's got a circus in it, and it's got a love triangle. You think it's a love triangle between Kalia, Darren, and Jack, similar to Christine, Raoul, and the Phantom. But it reminded me so much of Caraval that I could not keep the two separated. I was getting them confused with each other, and so that's why I ended up giving this a 2. But I am still interested in the story and see where it goes, and I will be picking up the sequel in August. I think that's when it comes out. So many questions left unanswered. I understand leaving some questions to be like answered in the sequel, but this book left almost every single question I had unanswered. It was not like 1 or 2. It's like 4 or 5 or 6. And yeah. And if I think about it, if I think real hard about it, I can probably answer the questions myself, but I'm hoping that it will go a different direction in the sequel. The next one I started on January 7th, which was the last day of the Buzzword Reading Challenge, and that is Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson. This is written entirely in verse, and also my 11-year-old read it because she's taken part in the Buzzword Reading Challenge with me, and she liked it. And no, she didn't read this month, but she did read it for February, and she really enjoyed it. Going into this, I did not know it was a nonfiction. Thought it was just a fiction, and learning that it was about the author and her childhood, being born in Ohio and being raised between New York and Greenville, South Carolina, at her grandparents' house. I had that connection with her because I'm from South Carolina. I live in South Carolina. And her talking about her grandma and the switches. Yeah, I connected with her on that. Switches hurt. So going into stores and not being able to sit at the counter during the Jim Crow era, and yeah, so I learned a lot more. She talks about her brothers and her childhood and her growing up. I cried when she was talking about her brother being hospitalized for eating the paint off the walls. I sobbed. I lost it. So yes, I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5. Poetry, it's gorgeous. The writing style, it makes me want to pick up the rest of her books and just binge them. I want to eat them like candy. So descriptive. She talk about the heat and the smells of the South, and like right away I could picture it. I live in front of a field that during the summer, corn. You know what fertilizes corn? Cow shit. I smell the manure every year and it's not fun. So, any type of smell of the fried chicken and her grandma doing hair. Growing up, one of my neighbors, she had her own beauty salon in her house, and when my mom was at work, I would go over there to wait after school. I would go over to her house after school to wait for my mom to get home, and she would be doing hair, and I can just smell the smells, and yeah, very nostalgic. So this brought back a lot of memories from my childhood, and learning about her experiences and memories and her family life and how she was supposed to be called Jack, and her mama didn't want to name her Jack. The third one is a read aloud that I read with my youngest. She is obsessed with these graphic novels, and that is Unicorn. Phoebe and her Unicorn Crossing. This is book 5, and it's by Dana Simpson, and it was just sweet and cute, and I gave it a 3. So, the Halloween costume is fucking hilarious. Phoebe gets poked in the butt by a Marigold Heavenly Nostrils horn. I lost it. The bully was in it more, Dakota, but she didn't have her YouTube channel plug-in. So, the spaghetti part, it's cringe. It reminded me of a baby eating spaghetti and just throwing it everywhere, all head wearing spaghetti. Those are days I don't miss, cleaning up spaghetti. So, yes. I ended up giving this a 3. It's magical realism. It's a graphic novel. I think it's magical realism. Yeah, it's magical realism. Next one is Dangerous Secrets. Frozen 2, Dangerous Secrets. The story of Iduna and Agnar by Mary Mancusi. This is all about Anna and Elsa's parents from Frozen. It's how they met when Arendelians and the king went to meet the North Uldra for the dam, and then they had a fight, and then the spirits kicked out Iduna, and she saved Agnar, and they grow up. Agnar's now king, and he has to get married to this princess from another kingdom to buff up security because things have been happening in the kingdom, and the citizens are blaming the North Uldra. And then, yeah, it's all about their backstory. And it's really cute. It made me cry. It made me angry. The ending, loved it. It has Anna and Elsa in it when they're little, and yeah, it stops at the last little bit. It's like at the ship. So that's where it ends. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5. It's the perfect backstory. Love the characters mentioned from the movies. Funny. Cried at the end. So it mentions woohoo, big summer blowout. Yeah. I love that guy. He's my favorite. I read Shadow of Forest, or Forest of Shadows, back in December, and I think you should read this one before you read that one, because it has a part mentioned in here that is mentioned, or the setting, one of the settings in this book is like mentioned in Forest of Shadows. So yeah, I'll put the reading and watch order down in the description box. I can't speak today. The book I had as a priority read for this month was Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. I can't get into it without spoiling it, but it's so good. Yeah. So I have not been putting this off. I just have not made it a priority to get to. And so, yeah. Obviously, this is my favorite read of the month. I gave it a 5 out of 5. And I gotta read my notes. Great ending to the series. I finished the series so far this year. All the storylines between Jim and Will, Jim and Tessa, Will and Tessa, Charlotte and Henry, and Gabriel, Gideon, and Sophie, and Will's family, and Jessamine. I think that's right. Jessamine? I think I got it right. Yeah. I was invested in each one. I usually get annoyed when we're reading one storyline and then the next chapter it goes into a completely different one. I was not annoyed this time. But, the end about somebody becoming a silent brother. What? I was going to scrap the rest of my TBR and read the rest of my Shadowhunter books, because I was shooketh. That was a plot twist that I did not see coming. And if somebody tells me, oh, you should have saw that coming a mile away, I'm dumb. Okay. I don't pay attention to details like I should. I need to read City of Heavenly Fire because that was mentioned in this one. So I have to get to it in March. I have to make that a priority book in March. I have to make all the Shadowhunter books a priority because I'm invested. Especially the novellas, The Bane Chronicles, and Ghost of the Shadow Market. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, those two. Yeah, I need to read those ASAP. And then Magnus Bane. My love. I still love him. But yeah, this is the biggest, not the biggest. That's a lie. The second biggest book I read in January. I want more from Tessa's point of view. I want another series all about Tessa. So I know one of the series now, Queen of Air and Darkness, or that one, or the Dark Artifices, or the Chain Iron series. The one that's out now. I know something with her kids, maybe? Hopefully. I don't know. Fingers crossed. But yeah. This was a fave. The second graphic novel I read in January was the first book that my daughter read this year. She read it all in one day, and she loved it. And so that is Amulet, Book 1, The Stone Keeper, and it's by Kazu Kibuishi. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but it's kind of a watered down Lock and Key. It's got these kids, they lose their dad in a car accident, and their mom moves them to an abandoned house to start anew. Basically, she wants to run away from the memories. And so, one night, on their first night, they hear noises, and they go down into the basement, and the mom gets captured. And so, the girl and the boy, they end up having to figure out a way to rescue her, because she's in like these octopus things. And they meet a person who has been off the radar for years. And it's got robots. It's got a bunny named Misket. He's so cute. Ended up giving it a 3. My daughter loved it. Like every graphic novel. But yeah, I wrote similar to Lock and Key without the sex and killing. Yeah. The monster octopuses were gross, and Misket is cute, and the house is awesome. I want a movable house. Because I would move this house in a freaking... Well, I can move my house, but that costs money. I want a house that I can just pick up and move without money involved whatsoever. But then I may damage some trees and damage roadways, and that would be like... yeah. That would cost me money and probably jail time. Okay, the next book I got to is I started the series in preparation for the show coming on in April on Netflix, and that is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I love these covers, the architecture, it's amazing. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5, and it's not what I expected. I was expecting Kaz and Inesh, because that's the characters you hear the most about. They weren't in here, at least I don't think it was. So, yeah. Very cliche with the love triangle. And a girl that would save the world. Alina, she was a bland character in my opinion. It's non-memorable. I hardly remember anything about her except that she is obsessed with her best friend Mel, and that she has an ability that can save the world. Are you done? Look at her. Goodness. My absolute favorite part was Alina connecting with the rare element. And then I automatically started crying when something bad happened to that element. I'm not going to say it because it's a spoiler, but I understand the new covers even better. I was like, I don't understand why there's a deer on it. And then the teaser trailer showed the horns, and I was like, what is it with this fucking deer? I don't know. Oh my god. So, I have questions. I will be making Siege and Storm a priority this month. There's 2 more weeks left in February, and I'm just, I got to prioritize my reading order. So, yeah. If you don't know what this is about, if you're living under a rock, it's about these Grisha. It's about a girl and a boy. They were tested at this orphanage. Their parents were blown up, I think. Or is that, am I mixing this up with Wanda and PH right now? These kids went to this orphanage and they were tested for these powers, and they were seen as not powerful. So they grow up and join the Emperor's or the Tsar's army, and they're crossing this big black void, and these monsters are coming at the soldiers, and then Alina, she just screams at the top of her lungs to save her best friend, because her best friend's about to get pulled over the side, or he's getting attacked. And after this event that she does, she gets stared at, and then the Darkling takes notice and says, she's under my protection. She's under my tutelage. And then he tries to make her wear black, the same as him. And she wants any more fucking attention? No! But, yes, I don't like the Darkling. Everybody loves the Darkling. No. He's a scumbag. He's an abuser. He's manipulative. I hate him. Which brings me to my next point. I read the ebook of The Tailor, all from Genia's perspective. Genia was, I think I'm saying her name right, Genia. She was Elena's servant while she was in the castle, and it goes into her backstory of her time with the king, when it was really sexual assault and abuse from the king on Genia, and how she used to be the queen's pet, and then she grew up and was like the scum under the queen's shoe. So, yeah, I will be reading Siege and Storm in February because I need to finish this series. But the thing is, I don't know if I should read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom before I watch the show, because it's got Kaz and Inej, and are they going to be introduced in the second book? Or are they in? I'm confused. Someone tell me down in the comments. Shadow and Bone, a 4 out of 5, and I gave The Tailor, which is the novella from Genia's perspective, I gave it a 3 out of 5. And I will link the ebook down below if anybody has not read it. So, the book I read after The Tailor was a blog tour spot, and that is Ground Zero by Alan Gratz. And this is all about hair. This is all about the morning of September 11th, and it's set September 11th, 2001. It's set on September 11th, 2019. And it's from Brandon's perspective while he was in the towers and trying to escape, and it's from Rashmina's time during her life in Afghanistan, dealing with the Taliban and the Americans fighting. So, we follow Brandon. He has been suspended from school for fighting, and he has to go to work with his dad, who works in a restaurant at North Tower, at the very top. And so he is sneaking down to a gift shop to buy a toy that he broke defending this boy at school while he got into a fight. And so he's trying to get some Wolverine gloves. X-Men. And so while he's going down in the elevator, the first plane hits. And I have a hard time talking about this at all because I was 10 years old when this happened, and it's stuck in my mind. And yeah, so I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5 because it made me cry, and then it made me angry. Rashmina, she was like, why are the Americans here? Why do all these countries keep invading Afghanistan? There's nothing here. And she finds out that the reason why the Americans are in Afghanistan is because the Taliban attacked and terrorized the U.S. September 11th. And she was like, we didn't know that. And then the soldier asked the older people, did they know why the Americans were here? And I was like, no, you come to take our land. And they have no idea that the Taliban attacked the U.S. They have no idea why September 11th is symbolic. And that it's a horrible day. It just made me so fucking angry. And this is a middle grade. I will be letting my daughters read this. That's a given. And they know about the planes. I've shown them some of the footage. They've seen the plane fly in to the South Tower. And, yeah. I cried 3 times. I got angry when Rashmina didn't know what 9/11 meant. I wondered, throughout the whole book, I wondered how these 2 stories were going to be connected, and at the end, it was just chef's kiss perfect. I was not expecting it. And then, when it got to Brandon escaping, leaving the tower, and him grabbing something that showed up in Afghanistan, it was just, yes, perfect. I questioned how did this author research from survivors how things looked? Was there really jet fuel, like blue flames? Did a person really walk through it and catch fire instantly? It was just, most of it was gory. That's the problem I have with my daughters reading it, because my daughters don't like reading things that happen, bad things that happen to people. My oldest, she is freaking sensitive as hell. And I think that would give her nightmares. So, it is a Scholastic. It is out in stores now. But, yeah, I say let your kids read this if you are comfortable with them learning about that day. But be forewarned that there is gory bits, of course, especially in the Afghanistan scenes where young kids are holding rifles and shooting people, and the Taliban using RPGs and AK-47s and shooting at the American soldiers, and the American soldiers like getting seriously injured and losing limbs. So yes, I will be reading more by Alan Gratz. I know he has a book called Refugee. The next book that I read aloud to my kids was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. And I read this in 5th grade, didn't remember anything about it. I just remembered that there was a lion named Aslan, and that there was a white witch, and 4 kids that went through a wardrobe, and that there was a satyr. That's all I remembered. Mainly because of the movie called Epic Movie, where it was a parody. I read half of this in 5th grade, and I've never watched the movies. So when I started reading this out loud to my kids, and they were on a train leaving London to go to the country to get away from the German bombs, I was surprised that it was set during World War II. And I know I shouldn't be because it's a classic, but yeah. So it's about these 4 kids. They go to this professor's house, his mansion, and he takes them in to keep them from getting bombed. And they're playing hide and seek. And so this little girl, Lucy, the youngest, she goes into this wardrobe and she just keeps walking. There's no back to this wardrobe. And then she starts hitting tree branches. And then she sees snow and it's cold. And then this satyr meets her. I want to say Grover, but that's not. It's not Percy Jackson. It's what's his name? Mr. Tumnus. And so Mr. Tumnus takes her back to his cave, and they have like a tea party. And then Lucy's like, oh, I need to get back. And Mr. Tumnus is like, I was supposed to kidnap you and take you to the White Witch. Psh. And then Lucy, she goes back because Mr. Tumnus leaves her alone. And she tells her brothers and her sisters, and then her second older brother makes fun of her, and he's a little douchebag. And so eventually they all go into Narnia, and yeah, they meet the White Witch, they meet Aslan, they meet talking beavers. Yeah, my kids enjoyed it. They loved the movie. Thank you, Disney Plus. And I am reading the second book now, Prince Caspian, which I'm reading it in publication order. The book, the copy, the edition I have of Prince Caspian has book 4 on it. I'm not reading it in chronological order. I'm reading it in publication order. Because that's how I was told to read it. And that's how this is the first book I started off with. So, meet the kids, and then second ebook I read was the prologue to the post-nuclear dystopia. And that is by Dmitry Glukovsky. It is the prequel to Metro 2033, which I read. So, this is an ebook. It was a 2-page, two-page ebook, introducing us to Artemis. I think that's his name. I don't remember his name. Okay, so it's a great intro to the series. Freaked out over the Eiffel Tower snapping in half. I read that part and I was like, and my kids were like, what? Are you having a stroke? So, yeah, I'll put the link to, it's a 2-page ebook that is on the Goodreads page. It's under one of the questions. Somebody put the whole ebook, so thank you, person. Yeah, so the last book I read in January was This Brick, and I listened to it on audiobook because all of the Russian names. And look at the size of this font and no spacing. And each chapter is like 20 pages, 20 to 30 pages long. I had a hard time going through this because I took a day just getting through one chapter because of all of the, it's translated. So most of the grammar wasn't correct. All of the Russian names for the stations on the metro was going over my head, and I was trying to pronounce them, and yeah. So I found the audiobook on YouTube. I had to listen to this audiobook at the highest speed possible. And even then, it was still too slow for my liking. Some of the characters, they were talking like this. Like Flash on Zootopia. How are you today? And then at 2 times speed, it's it's talking the same speed that I'm talking right now to you. As I'm saying this sentence out loud, this is the speed of this talking voice. And then Artemy? What's his fucking name? Artyom. And Artyom was talking like this, and he was talking really, really fast, and I can understand that. But if I started off... Oh my god. Okay, I'm getting off topic. So, I was expecting a full-blown zombie apocalypse. I didn't get that. I got a dystopian Percy Jackson quest on the Russian metro. This guy, Artyom, he has to leave his station at the very north end of the metro and go to this other station all the way at the other end to deliver a message. And so every station he hits, he's describing the scene, how it's clean or it's dirty, how many tents are up, what kind of citizens are there, gangbangers, or is it like a red light district, or are they in the slums, or is it the communists, or are they the librarians, the guardians? Yeah. I was fucking bored to tears. I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 because it did have some jump scares and it made me scared. The audio, like, that introduced each chapter, it was a train sound, and then it goes like scary music, and I was like, no. So it puts you in that mindset that you're in a train station that is spooky. It's got the scary music. So yeah, so my husband bought me this book back in December because he was looking for a game to buy the day after Christmas. And I was like, why don't you buy this one? Because it's about zombies and it's about an apocalypse. And I like that kind of stuff. He doesn't really. Not anymore after playing Fallout 4 and Call of Duty. So, yeah. And he was like, okay, well, I'll get you the book. And then if you like it, then I'll buy the game. That didn't happen. So, I was interested enough that I'm watching a gameplay on YouTube to save us money. Yeah. So, we may buy the game still, and I may read the sequel, Metroid 2034, and I'm hoping that it's not like Quest, that it's more apocalypse, zombies. Yeah, there was some racist comments in this, and misogyny and sexism, and just, yeah. This is my only audiobook this month. I'm going to try to make an audiobook every month because I want to get more into audiobooks, but I wanted to like this. So I'm going to watch gameplay, and then depending on how the game goes, will determine if I buy the sequel and buy the games. Because I heard the games are fucking fantastic. I love the prequel, but these are the books I read in January. 12 total. Yeah. I had a good reading month, like I said. So far in February, I've only read 5, and it's February 13th. So, I hope you are having a good reading month, and if you like this video, if you've read any of these books, comment down below. Like I said, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.